Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only I'm sorry. For these couple days where we're honoring John Cena, we are simply Stephen Larson's pro wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
That's what we are. That's what we're being branded
You
as.
can listen to it, you cannot, whatever.
Right. Yeah, all we have are dates. Our dates are endless though. We don't go till just the end of the year.
We have 5 dates a week minimum.
Financially speaking, we need to be here.
We actually need to maximize our dates, not just put a set amount.
Ideally, we'll do more dates. Anyways, Larson, this is, of course, Wednesday, which means, of course, we do our Hot Takes episode where we take a look at the friendos and what's on their mind, and then we react to it.
Correct.
Shall
we get started?
Yeah, I don't even have the notes in front of me, so this is going to be news
I do, so I'll do this first one from Expendable Gaming Hot Take. Heel Cena trying to ruin wrestling is just a worse version of the Death Riders.
So we had a worse version of the Death Riders.
Here's the major difference. John Cena is trying to tell a story where his character purposely tries to ruin wrestling. Death Riders are ruining wrestling because the creative is shit. That's the difference.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say John Cena is purposely trying to ruin wrestling. The Death Riders are inadvertently ruining wrestling.
That's effectively what I was saying, yes.
That being said, I'm all in on the Death Riders these days, Larson. I'm pro Death Riders. I think the Seth thing is a bit more. It's interesting because there are two characters who are fundamentally trying to change. Okay, man.
What the fuck's going on with this?
We gotta get you a weighted.
I know. I gotta look into one. I tried finding one before, and they were all too high.
I feel like it's just recently that thing started tipping over.
Yeah, I know what the deal is.
All right. Anyways, it is interesting that at the top of the WWE, there are two characters who are trying to fundamentally alter the DNA of pro wrestling: John Cena and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins trying to, eliminate,
he's trying to save the future of the industry, and he thinks he's the embodiment of that future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then John Cena, yes, trying to ruin pro wrestling for everybody.
Yeah. Is this... Why would these... I mean, look, you can take a look at the top two stories in WWE, knowing that they're coming from the same person, probably. Triple H, he's the bottom line in WWE. He's the top of the creative card. Top of the creative ladder, I should say. So maybe it wouldn't be surprising that his big ideas for the two tops of the card would be kind of, coming from maybe the same place. Maybe he saw something recently. Maybe he saw the Death Riders. And he's like, I want to do my version of this. I kind of doubt that. But in AEW... John Moxley is also trying to, and he has been for a while now, he's been trying to, ensure it's sort of both things. Like he's been trying to ensure the security of AEW's future by molding it himself and in a way save, AEW and I guess pro wrestling. They love the term pro wrestling in AEW.
Yeah, and I guess in the process, he wants to destroy AEW and rebuild it in his own image. Let
me ask you this.
Sure.
This is sort of away from the hot takes because heel Cena, it's just a version of the Death Riders. I don't know that it's directly inspired by it because I doubt Triple H would do something like that. But may I ask if there is something in the water today, in the ether, in the zeitgeist, where this kind of idea makes sense or why it makes sense for at this point this idea to be prominently featured in fiction. I mean, you look at, for example, a show that you and I love talking about, Severance. Mm-hmm. Talk about fundamentally changing the nature of the workplace. You go in and you sever yourself from your personal self so that you simply have a work self separate from your personal self.
I mean, gosh.
It's a lofty question, I know.
It is. I'm trying to think of kind of one aspect to address first.
Is there a general dissatisfaction? I mean, you can kind of say.
No, I think there is a general dissatisfaction in a lot of respects. And, like the promise of the modern world, especially as it relates. Well, I could talk about from experience here in the United States, kind of the promise of what modern society was going to be like isn't necessarily panning out. I'm not saying we all thought things would be like Star Trek Next Generation in the year 2025, but the hopes were, I think, it would be better than what it is.
The Star Trek timeline in 2025 was pretty grim. I'm pretty sure,
right.
like, originally, like in the 60s, they told of like the eugenics wars. And I mean, Khan came from, I think, like 1999.
Yeah.
And so, by 2063, we're done with World War III and everything is a disaster. And that's when like they do First Contact and et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha.
Sorry, nerd alert.
No, that's totally, no, that's, I guess what I was trying to say was, like the setting of Next Generation where seemingly people have few worries on Earth. You can pursue what you want. To your heart's content, as opposed to what what it's been like here now.
I mean, removing, I don't want to get too heavy with it, but like, and even because I know it's a hot button issue, so there's some sensitive people out there, but removing ourselves, and our own personal politics away from it, the nature of the fundamental role of government in this country is something that has obviously bubbled up in a pretty explosive way. Amongst, I mean, it used to be, when you and I were growing up, certainly, and before 2015, I'd say the argument could be made that oftentimes it felt like there were two sides of the same coin. Whoever you were voting for, you were going to get some amount of the same kind of deal. And all the politicians kind of had the same, angle. They would just sort of approach it in a different way. And nowadays it's completely like it feels culturally like it's kind of crazy out there. And I wonder if that level of existential crisis that I think a lot of people in this culture feel is part of maybe something that's driving these ideas, maybe.
That could be, but you use Severance as an example, and you can go back 10, 15, 20 years ago and see kind of similar, not exactly similar themes, but themes in the same vein. You look at, this has popped in my head, Radiohead's OK Computer. An album that you could interpret as I said earlier, modern society not being exactly as we were kind of promised.
Fight Club is that's the theme exactly in Fight Club as well.
So these are themes that keep popping up.
Yeah.
In popular culture and works of entertainment and works of art. So in that sense, they are kind of universal.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely they're told through the prism of what's happening currently.
Things are a tad bit more Kafkaesque these days.
Yes.
And it's no longer a simple story of the working man versus the boss, which was the Austin McMahon story, which was, probably one of the biggest stories ever told. Now it is, it's how do you make sense of where we're headed? And so I don't know. It seems like it's kind of a well that's been in this form untapped, but it's also kind of not surprising that they are aiming for stakes higher than the working man versus the boss. Now it is the fundamental DNA of the existence with which we are in. It's going to, based on what happens between these ropes.
Yeah,
in wrestling,
anyways. Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know if one is lifted from the other necessarily, but you can definitely draw parallels between the two.
Oh yeah. And like I said, some of these themes, are recurring. They come up from time to time in works of art. But I guess what makes them unique is the means by which they're told. And I guess in this sense here, where John Cena is trying to deconstruct the very notion of pro wrestling to tell the story of his heel turn and really put the spotlight, is he going to go so far as to, I want to say, expose the artifice of pro wrestling or break kayfabe out there in the ring. But, like French New Wave directors, they would really indulge in the cinema aspect of cinema and highlight the artifice of making a movie, and in such there is a truth. And I assume that's his goal here too. He's kind of trying to deconstruct the fundamentals of pro wrestling, expose the artifice of it all, and in the process find some truth about the human condition.
Or is he going to go the exact opposite direction and indulge in the Dogma 95 aesthetic, which is like the performance is everything?
Remains to be seen. We got one match to work off of, so I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so let's away from this hotty-totty bullshit that we're talking. Let's talk about the actual take. There's not enough of a sample size.
No, but even if there was, I would say one story is very intentional in how they're ruining wrestling. The other, the goal of the Death Riders is to not ruin pro wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not the goal, and any efforts they make to ruin pro wrestling are completely unintentional because the creative oftentimes has been bad.
Yeah, Mox just thinks people are soft, and they're being booked week to week. So, all right, next hot take. This one is on our. I don't know. Maybe that first one will be on the thumbnail because that's a good one. I like this one though. Well, we'll just go into this one from Josh Brown.
Sure. It
says WrestleMania 41's main event, to continue with the Cena Cody stuff, made Cody look worse coming out of it.
So I guess the match itself explains why Cody always stood tall in the lead up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because between the quality of the match itself, regardless of intent of the match, whether they were trying to have a bad match or not, the match itself wasn't good. Cody got worked over pretty good by John Cena and then took the L. It's not a great look for Cody coming out of WrestleMania.
Cody became...
maybe one thing. And add to that, the crowd at times booing Cody, which hadn't happened since he'd come back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying this is bad news for Cody upon his return. I think he'll be fine. But I wonder if the outcome as it relates to Cody is exactly what they were intending here.
I mean, dude, it does kind of feel like there was not an emphasis enough on the story of Cody losing the title as opposed to Cena winning the title. Cena's story seems to be a Cena story and not a Cody lost his title story.
But they tried. I feel like at the bottom of the ninth, they tried to make it that by adding the whole. Well, are you gonna turn? You're willing to do whatever it takes to keep your title, Cody.
Yeah, but that was like a late tacked on thing.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think the situation that was that should be probably most alarming for WWE is the booing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, is part of John Cena assuming his matches as a bad guy are as slow and methodical and, as we say, anti-entertaining as the Cody one? If that is the template, then similar to how people are just champing at the bit to get the Death Riders over with, by the end of this, are people going to cheer Cody just by virtue of, thank God this John Cena business is going to be done with?
No, because it feels like people are getting what Cena's trying to do and appreciating the efforts. I've seen that in our comments.
Did you notice, by the way, the crowd actually were chanting, "We are sorry."
Yeah, they did. I noticed that.
And then Cena changed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the crowd is for the most part, is getting what Cena's trying to do. I think, there's a couple things. There's that. I think people are actually excited about heel John Cena because it's something that people have been wanting to see for nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
That's an aspect of it. It's Cena's last run. People are curious what's going to happen there.
The promos have been really entertaining.
The promos have been entertaining. So it's like he skipped the 1 to 2 year period of a heel being so good that they get over and naturally have to become a face. He was like there on day one.
He was, yeah.
And so that's the issue they're potentially going to run into. Now, Cody, when they had that last back and forth, and it seemed like the crowd was on the verge of turning on Cody, he had enough ammunition to get the crowd back on his side.
Cody's really good.
He is really good. And he didn't seem fazed by the situation whatsoever. He faced it in AEW. So, Cody's savvy enough to roll with whatever the response the crowd is going to give him, and knows how to get them back on his side if that's what he needs to do.
Also, I think there's going to be a concerted effort by John Cena and Triple H to, okay, let's construct something where the crowd is really going to want to see me get beat up, specifically by Cody Rhodes. It's going to be the Orton match is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
To see how that match plays out, how it goes down, what we're going to be looking at for the next, I don't know, however long he's a champion, certainly 4 to 8 months, maybe. And so that's going to be interesting to see how that goes down. But yeah, I mean, as long as they do their job and present us with a John Cena who people want to see get beat up, that's always a tricky thing. If you're going to be super entertaining, people are going to start siding with you.
Yep.
But at the same time, Cody on the chase is a pretty decent. That's as sure bet as you're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you this. Because this plays into this hot take. You know what they honestly could do? Probably what they should do. Cody beats Cena and Drew McIntyre immediately cashes in. Whenever that happens. If Drew wins Money in the Bank. And because then you don't really have an opportunity to have Cody back with the title and everybody thinks it's the status quo. He's back on the chase. Maybe give Cody some time away from the title. What do you think would be a bigger pop, though? Cody beating Cena or CM Punk eventually being the guy to beat Cena?
I mean, I don't give CM Punk much of a chance to be the one to beat Cena. The whole
Neither
story
do I, but I'm saying he's the most popular guy in the
That's
company.
why I got to mull it over. Seemingly the whole construction of this story from its inception was for Cody to ultimately be the one to beat John Cena. Obviously, plans could change. Like, people would be excited if CM Punk beat Cena because he is incredibly popular, wildly over. And it would largely depend on the story told, but I think at the end of the day, probably the more satisfying conclusion would be Cody winning. Because with Punk and Cena, you're largely going to rely on nostalgia, relying on feud of the past, their history, going back a decade,
See, with Orton, I agree with that point. Their history, which obviously you take into account, plus what Punk has gone through and what Cena's gone through in the meantime, I think their promos, by the way, if they end up fighting at Money in the Bank, the promos for that and the match itself, that's going to be of the year type stuff.
Well, the match would be purposely bad, so no.
Well, I don't know that that's the route they're going to take. And if anybody can do interesting purposely bad, I believe CM Punk could do that. I think Punk, Punk wouldn't let that shit fly. He ain't going to let that shit fly.
He's a team player now, man. He's going to be like, all right, you want me to do this? Sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Punk is the one guy that, in my opinion, seemingly now Rhea, 1,000% bulletproof. Have you ever known nobody in our comments have ever said, when do you think the crowd's going to turn on Punk? Cody, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. If the build was Cena Punk, no crowd would have booed Punk.
No, probably not.
So I don't know. It'll just be interesting to see how they handle it. I think Triple H is savvy enough to know how to pivot, when to pivot. If they start booing Cody, okay, cool. Let's turn the guy heel then. I don't think they're gonna ram him down. He's not like Vince. I mean, he is, but not to that degree.
Yeah. Yeah, remains to be seen.
Remains to be seen. Anyways, before we continue on with our next hot take, we got some sponsors for the show today, so let's go ahead and talk about them.
Let's do it. Let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, Mint Mobile. I appreciate you illuminating this for me, because for a while I was confused whether it's pronounced data or data.
Yeah.
But now I know.
Yeah.
Either is right. But regardless how you say it, I thought it was totally normal to pay a fortune for my monthly data plan. That is, until I found out that Mint Mobile's premium wireless plans start at just $15 a month.
That's correct, Larson. With Mint Mobile, you can say goodbye to those outrageous monthly bills and unexpected overages. You see, all Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text, all in the nation's largest 5G network. And you can bring your own phone and keep your current phone number and all your existing contacts.
So ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. No matter how you say it, data, don't overpay for it. Shop data plans at mintmobile.com/raw. That's mintmobile.com/raw.
Upfront payment of $45 for a 3-month 5-gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available, taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
And let's get a word from our sponsor, NordVPN. Steve,
Yep.
I'm going to give you the floor here in a moment. So you can talk about how happy you are that you cut the cord. Take it away.
I am so happy I cut the cord. I have saved so much money getting rid of that darn cord, Larson. But the thing is, before I did it, really had to use this old noggin because, of course, for my job here at Going in Raw, I still have to watch NXT every Tuesday and SmackDown every Friday. Luckily, they do air internationally, so you can cut the cord and watch them because of NordVPN. Because with NordVPN, I can change my virtual location so I can catch NXT every Tuesday and SmackDown every Friday. NordVPN is also the fastest VPN in the world, so that means no buffering or lagging, and it also stops my ISP from throttling my bandwidth.
And that's not all. NordVPN also keeps your private online data, such as your passwords and bank details, safe and offers premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee a month. Their threat protection feature keeps you safe from viruses, malware, and phishing sites. And one NordVPN account can be used on up to 10 devices.
To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/raw. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box.
And this episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, I've spoken quite a bit on the show about my own experience going to therapy. And while therapy did help me learn the tools I needed to better cope with the severe anxiety I was dealing with in my mid-20s, I also found out that in-person therapy can get very, very, very expensive, with session fees adding up fast. But with BetterHelp, therapy can feel more accessible and not like a luxury.
Yeah, BetterHelp offers quality care at a price that makes sense. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat weekly fee for sessions, saving you big on cost and time. Your mental health is worth it, and now it's within reach.
Plus, BetterHelp is completely online, making therapy far more convenient. 20 years ago, when I was going to therapy, I had to get in my car. I had to drive in LA traffic to get to my appointments. But BetterHelp is with BetterHelp, you can join a session with the click of a button, so you can fit therapy into your busy schedule, and you can switch therapists at any time.
Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
All right, man, let's continue on with these hot takes. First up from, or I should say next, we've already had the first and second one. Steve Norlowski says the Cena heel turn should have happened at WrestleMania instead.
Like, I can see pros and cons to each approach, how they did it versus maybe planting a few seeds and having the actual turn happen at WrestleMania. Because the moment Elimination Chamber would have happened, it was pretty shocking. And the setup of it was pretty well done. If he hadn't turned heel at Elimination Chamber, we wouldn't have gotten all those promos in advance. We would just be getting them now, explaining the why. If he had turned heel at Mania without The Rock's involvement, the Rock aspect of the story would have felt perhaps, wouldn't have to worry about it, because right now it's a bit unsatisfying. Or seemingly he was in alliance with The Rock and The Rock hasn't been around.
I'm going to say hard nay for me.
All right.
I'm going to say the moment in Elimination Chamber, even though The Rock was there and then he disappeared forever, was awesome. Number one, I'm trying to honestly take sort of like my business suit, that out of it, because it's better for business when you have multiple big moments spread out over time for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even taking that out of it. Okay, could they have dropped some Easter eggs here and there? John Cena saying, "Oh, I'm so desperate, I'll do anything." Oh, okay, is he going to turn heel? It's just from Elimination Chamber to Mania, I just don't see it being terribly compelling. I think that one of the only things that was like pretty decent about the build to Mania from Elimination Chamber was the Cena stuff. It was like, holy shit, you get that sequence where The Rock is saying 1, 2, slit the throat thing, and then he, hugs Cena, or he hugs Cody. There was a moment when he actually won the match, and, he took full advantage and he didn't hesitate, kicks Cody in the balls. That was such a wonderful sequence that could we have had something like it during the match? I guess, but like that post-Elimination Chamber angle was so well executed that I don't think it would have A, made any sense to just happen at Mania, and B, been as effective in terms of the intrigue coming into the match. John Cena is a good guy, had lost for however long he's lost, and we're supposed to think, okay, like he just wouldn't have been. The heel change was basically introducing a new character, and an interesting one. Without it, there's nothing that he could have said during the build that would have been really any different than any time else in the last couple of years, because every time he comes back, he kind of has the same angle. I lose a lot, but not this time, kid. That kind of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just don't envision a story that would have had nearly the amount of intrigue heading to Mania. And my second point is the last time I can think of something like that was at WrestleMania 17 when Austin turned and joined McMahon, and it was like, what? That didn't fly. And I don't think this would have been as bad as that.
No, I don't think so.
But I don't know. It was, we get the turn, we get to hear his explanations. What is the match going to look like? And then he puts on that match, and it's very polarizing, but at least the match had an identity. And coming into it, if you get that same match, it's like, what, this is shit. And then he turns heel, and it's like, okay, maybe the heel turn would have been, oh, shocking, and this is why he was wrestling that way. But give me the intrigue coming into it.
Let me put this out there. I'm not saying this is any better.
Sure, yeah.
Than what we got, but I'm just going to put it out there. What if The Rock waited till after Cena won at Chamber? We don't get the moment at the end of Chamber. Cena just wins Elimination Chamber. Pyro goes off. Yay. Next SmackDown, The Rock's there, and that's when he makes the offer to Cody. And so it's both, hey, I can give you everything you want because I can make you the star, several times magnitude larger than you are now. Plus, with kind of the subtext, I can make sure you beat the Cena guy and keep him from winning 17. And so you kind of have The Rock trying to recruit Cody. At the same time, you have Cena coming out and being like, oh, no, of course, Cody, you don't want to do that. Trying to appeal to Cody's better nature. But in the end, Rock and Cena have been working together all along, and it's revealed at the end of the WrestleMania match. And you could have more or less what happened in Elimination Chamber happen at the end, towards the end of the Mania match.
If you're talking about, yeah.
So the intrigue going into the Mania match is, and you could tease it along the way where Cody is maybe at points is somewhat receptive to what The Rock is saying, or The Rock is showing examples of how being in the league with him could benefit him. And this whole time you got Cena being like, no, you don't want to do that, Cody.
If you factor in The Rock appearing on the road,
it would involve
different.
that.
That's different. Yeah. If it involves all that, then yeah, that might have been more intriguing than what we got. Because look, man, I know the final boss went on Pat McAfee yesterday and was basically shooting down WWE creative.
Yeah.
But the guy is goddamn entertaining when he shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody keeps an eye. Everybody wants to know, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is the story? Is he going to go off the rails? And there's that added level of intrigue behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there is a way to have done it that would have necessitated The Rock having the same level of involvement as last year, and maybe you're onto something. Maybe that absolutely could have worked. It would have been the same thing as Rollins and Heyman, where we knew it kind of weeks in advance. It's like, oh, Cena's going to turn, and that's how he's going to win number 17. And it would have happened. We've been like, oh, that was awesome. But had they simply, if what we got was what we got, one Rock appearance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then it's all just left to Cena and Cody. But Rock would have had to have heavily been involved and then shown up at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, dude. I mean, I think that, in my opinion, dude, more Rock better. More Rock equals better. It does. As long as he does what Triple H wants him to do.
Well, therein lies the issue, Steve.
That's the problem.
There's the rub, Steve.
There's the rub.
I got a hot take here from the Wallinator. Says Cena's pretentious film festival reject matches are going to be overshadowed by the cinematic masterpieces that Seth, Heyman, and Braun give us. Here's my thought process.
Yeah.
You go to the movie theater these days, you got your 16 different movie theaters, and 10 of them are playing the newest Marvel movie. And you got to go to the little art house cinema, somewhere to find the pretentious film festival type movies.
Sure, absolutely.
But there was a day when you had both of them. You had your pretentious film festival type movies, and you had your huge Hollywood blockbusters playing in the same group of movie theaters. The multiplex is what they call them, yeah?
Mm-hmm, yeah, sure.
That's what we're getting here. We don't have to choose. If you don't like the Cena stuff, don't pay attention to it. If you like the Seth stuff, yes. Watch it, discuss it, analyze it. But some people are really into the Cena stuff. It's going to be cinema in its own way.
You're absolutely right in that you have, look, dude, the Cena stuff. I know, I understand what people say about that main event. I still lean towards. There was something interesting there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of movies you watch that you're like, the movie wasn't good.
Yeah.
But I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Let me ask you this, for me, because you know how I feel about it, and you and I differ on it, but you know how I feel about it.
Oh, Southland Tales?
Is John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at Mania my Southland Tales of wrestling?
Could be.
There's some interesting ideas in Southland Tales.
I will say this. I don't know if Cena versus Cody at WrestleMania was as self-indulgent as Southland Tales is.
Really? Because if that was all John Cena, that's pretty... If that was John Cena telling a meta story... That's pretty... in the main event of WrestleMania?
Yeah, that's
true. I mean, honestly, dude... I really didn't like it, but I kind of admire it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a risk.
Especially on that stage, it's a massive risk.
This ain't Backlash they did this match at.
No.
Backlash might be like a equally worse or an equally bad car wreck, given it's Orton.
Yeah.
They could do some fun stuff. Boy, Orton's fun. They could do some fun stuff with that. No, what you said is true, man. I think that there are various types of cinema in the world, and I'm looking forward to what Seth has to bring. And I'm looking forward. I want to know what Cena's going to bring to the equation. If that's a 45-minute slow Randy Orton match, we'll have said we lived through that.
Yeah. Here's another reason that whatever Cena's doing is not going to necessarily be outright overshadowed by anything, because it's John Cena. It's his farewell tour. And he's only going to be facing, the very top of the main event in all his matches. And all those things together is going to keep him in the conversation. It's going to keep the spotlight on him and whatever he's doing.
This has turned him back into an attraction.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think they're confident letting Cody just go do it. And plus, they got Punk, but they're confident letting Cody take some time off because Cena is an attraction now.
Yeah. Yep.
People are going to pay attention, even if it's. And I'm trying to think of another analogy. I know there is one, but even if it's a clusterfuck after clusterfuck after clusterfuck, they're going to tune in to see what the next clusterfuck is.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Before we continue on really quick, you guys might have noticed, I know some people have, the You Can't Steve Me hat.
Yes.
The John Cena Wrestle Juice homage shirt. I'm pushing it over here, Larson, because guess what? You get a cut of the profits too,
I don't
man.
know how that works. I shouldn't get anything.
I mean, I don't know how it works either. It's just, it's in our contract. It's like one of them Easy-E contracts that you got. Anything I do, you get a piece of. It's crazy. That's why I've had to hide all my Wrestle Juice revenue from me. Anyways, on the screen right now, I have an advertisement up for this John Cena homage Wrestle Juice shirt. Everybody says, Steve, you look like John Cena. Well, now I got a John Cena homage shirt. That's right. It's me wearing a shirt that I'm selling. It's the shirt that it's on, wearing a shirt that it's on with the hat. And I got the CM Punk Signature Series title. I'm carrying that with me too.
That's
weird.
Why didn't you have the spinner title?
What, the Cena spinner title?
Yeah.
Oh, because the friendos at Wrestle Juice know how much that CM Punk Signature Series meant to me, and they know how much it cost. So, that's why I put that, because it's got special play. This is the thing that pops right here. Look at that thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Pops,
your eye goes to
time.
it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I could have done the real World's AEW Championship right there. Didn't do that one.
At least the CM Punk title is inspired by the spinner title.
Exactly. Yeah, it spins. So yeah, it's available right now at friendoshop.com, along with all of our other Going In Raw and Wrestle Juice and Friendo Club wares. So you can use code Friendo2024 to get a discount as well. It's available now. Good quality shirt, nice and soft, good colors that pop, and then the hat is embroidered right here.
Yeah,
so
they do good work on the hats.
They do really good work on the hats.
Really good work.
So yeah, check that out. Now let's go ahead and move on to our next hot take.
Odd Breakfast has a hot take. Braun Breaker was demoted to henchman.
Let me ask you something.
What?
When Triple H formed Evolution, was Batista and Randy Orton considered henchmen for Triple H and Ric Flair?
Because you could tell the point of this whole thing was to elevate them.
I was excited when I saw Braun. I was like, the first two words that sprang to mind, main event.
Yeah.
Elevation to the main event.
Yep. This is the launching pad by which they will make Braun Breaker a main eventer.
Yeah.
He's not a henchman. Now, in some superficial fashion, he might fulfill some of the duties of henchman.
Attacking people on behalf of Seth
Rollins. But his role in this, in the macro, long-term, large picture, is not henchman. It's for him to have that Batista moment.
It is. That's 3
point.
years from now, we're going to get, I guarantee you, if Triple H is still in charge, or even if HBK is in charge, we're getting a thumbs up, thumbs down moment.
It's entirely possible.
He'll probably win the Rumble and Rollins will be champion. We're going to get, because sometimes they're really literal with their throwbacks.
Yeah, they're very self-referential, yes.
They are. We are going to get a thumbs up, thumbs down situation. That is happening in like 2028.
And here's another way of looking at it, too. Braun, as Intercontinental Champion, was not getting a lot of opportunities to develop his character because the creative just wasn't there. Now he's working off of one of the best performers in the entire company. Two of the best performers in the entire company, in Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman.
Yeah, dude.
Braun will have to elevate his character work. And if he can pull that off, which I think he can, the sky's the limit for him coming out of this.
All he has to, honestly, think about this. All he really has to do is stand pat. The stories are going to be there. Now he's going to be able to take that character, which, hasn't been given a lot, but we saw his range in NXT especially.
Yeah.
And then get some stories with that. I can't wait for the guy. I'm so happy for him. I think it's terrific. I think it's really terrific for him.
Yeah, me too. Hot take here from Cole Johnson says The Rock doesn't care about WWE at all. The busy schedule excuse is BS. If he did care, he would actually set aside time to be involved. Cena isn't full-time, but he still found space for 30-plus appearances. I kind of made, not that I said The Rock doesn't care about WWE at all. I just said if it was important to him, he would find a way to make the time. I mentioned that in our video that went up on Tuesday yesterday. And that's kind of been my take on The Rock ever since he's kind of teased coming back. Was it like when they first broached the idea of a match against Roman?
Mm-hmm.
Was that Mania 36, the one that was supposed to be in LA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Initially, like years ago?
Yeah.
Whenever it was, anyways. And yeah, part of it is he obviously wants to have a heavy hand in whatever his creative is. And now that he's on the board of directors, he has the sway to make that happen. But also, if it was something that was really important to him to get back to do more stuff in WWE, he would make the time for it. He just doesn't.
Well,
those things I think go hand in hand. If it's a situation where he could do more or less what he wanted to do, he would make the time. But since he's not getting to do exactly what he wants to do, he's like, I'm too busy.
That's exactly right.
He just doesn't make the time to do it.
If he had carte blanche, he would be able to do whatever he wants. And he would make all the time in the world for it. They gave him a shit ton of money to be the director of the board of directors. And I think there was a bit of a rude awakening when he realized that he couldn't do whatever he wanted. He couldn't install his own creative team to run, at the very least, his own creative.
Yeah.
And so he realized that, well, this is not what I was hoping for, and my vision's not going to be the one seen through. I mean, I get it. I do. I get it. He's at the stage of his career in Hollywood that, to a degree, I mean, look, the only things that he's really like failed at necessarily are really lofty. I'm taking over a giant $1 billion thing. WWE from last year couldn't take that over.
Yeah.
And obviously the DC stuff. It's a $1 billion franchise where DC saw the receipts to the Black Adam movie. They saw that they had one of the more popular Marvel creators available to take over with James Gunn. And they made the right decision. You can't. The Superman thing apparently is doing really well in the test groups or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whether or not that's going to translate to the box office, I don't know, but I think it's going to probably do pretty well. And so, you gotta aim high, I guess. But he is at the point where if he can go off and produce his own movies or go work with the Safdie brothers and go after an Oscar or whatever. Yeah, like if he can't even get his own way in the WWE, then he probably realizes he's not going to be invested in it. So if you're not going to be invested in something, why are you going to do it? If you don't have to, I mean, if the hot take is he doesn't actually care about the WWE, I mean, I don't know what the guy cares. I'm sure he wants the WWE to succeed. He might want it to succeed because of him, but I doubt he wants to see it fail.
Yeah.
I
guess maybe instead of saying he doesn't care about WWE is not a priority for him unless WWE prioritizes him.
That's exactly yeah. And I don't think there can be any possible debate about that. I really don't.
No.
He might want to see Superman fail.
That's entirely possible.
Even though his ship has sailed there, but who doesn't like to be proven right, I guess.
I guess. Hot take here from Sam Petrosky says, once they knew Rock wasn't going to be at Mania, they should have made Punk Rollins Reigns match the main event of night 2. Of course, this is hindsight. Main event of night 1 was way better than the main event of night 2, but you only know that after the fact. In terms of the marketability of WrestleMania, you have John Cena in his last WrestleMania trying to break the world title record. Like, I don't know. We had no idea that the match was going to be as whatever it was.
That, even the way it was a much more important story. Might not have been as interesting, but it was more important. It's the record. It's heel Cena. It's a no-brainer you put that on night 2.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that whatever the best match is should go on last. If all things equal, But all things aren't equal. Punk Rollins Reigns didn't have a title on the line. It didn't have a record on the line. It wasn't, a generational name with a significant character shift that everybody's been wanting to see. It's not the end of Cody Rhodes' 1-year reign as the top guy in the company. It was none of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, again, hard disagree on my part. Even though the Punk Rollins Reigns match I fucking loved, and I loved the final angle. I loved all that stuff, but wasn't as important as the Night 2 main.
Yeah. Let's go to, what is this name?
Kaz Kick.
All right. Hot take. The Rock's wild booking choices will cause people to stop trusting Triple H's long-term booking. I mean, there's really only one major curveball, and that was Cody giving up his Mania spot last year. That if they had followed through on that, people have been like, what the hell's going on over here?
Yeah.
His sporadic appearances, while seemingly kind of distracting from whatever they're doing creatively, I don't think have been such a curveball to disrupt the faith fans seem to have in Triple H's creative these days. But if they hadn't changed course and got Cody back in that main event, we might be saying something different.
Well, let me ask you this. I don't think the big strokes are ever going to, because I think Triple H is good at the big strokes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be, if SmackDown and Raw, with the exception of builds to big shows and big moments, if they become mundane week to week,
mm-hmm.
or if the women's division really falls off, or if the stories really dry up, the minutia, the details, the small things that don't make the product entertaining week to week because we have to wait for a big thing to happen.
Yeah.
I think that will erode the support rather than, oh, this big moment was a ball drop. We're going to say, fuck Triple H now.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to take consistently coming up short creatively as opposed to one moment. Yeah, I think you're right about that. If we have like 10 weeks straight where basically nothing happens on Raw or SmackDown, then that's when people are going to start losing faith.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Hot take here from the Mumsley Show.
The Mumsley Show.
Arena Mania is better than Stadium Manias. Arenas are more intimate and provide a better atmosphere and crowd noise. It also doesn't feel right watching wrestling under daylight. Mumsley Show here says, I need my flashing lights.
I love this hot take because honestly, bro, daytime wrestling can kick rocks. I maintain that the Triple H Terminator entrance would have been badass if it was nighttime, Lars. Come on. It was nighttime. You can control the lighting. Maybe he gets some LEDs. Maybe you can even present, because outside you can't show like a video package. Show a video package where it explains like the lore.
They had Arnold on the Tron.
The
before
lore.
His entrance. There was a video package.
They should have had Arnold say, hey, listen here now. This is Triple H. He's coming out here. He's Terminator Hunter and Terminator. It's like a Blade Runner, but a different franchise. Yeah. Who are you?
I mean, the real issue with that particular entrance is that the Terminator skeleton that Triple H was wearing looked cheap and cheesy. And you can disguise that. Let me finish.
In daylight? No, you're not going to finish. In daylight, yes. At nighttime, Larson.
You can disguise it somewhat if there's less light, but at the end of the day, you're looking at that and it's like that cost $2 to make.
I wonder. But you can disguise it. Exactly.
To an extent, but not completely when something looks that corny.
Has anybody, I don't, boy, this would be great. Do we know if that Terminator entrance is in 2K25? Then we can look at it at night.
I'd be surprised.
And I guarantee you it'll look like $1 million. Oh, because it's Terminator IP. Somebody might have made that. If they haven't, if anybody knows if they had, let us know.
Or
because
the PC version modded or something like that.
I want to see that at nighttime, and I guarantee, and you won't admit it, because you won't admit when you're wrong, Lars.
That's not the case. I'll admit when I'm wrong.
If it's awesome, you won't admit it.
Yeah, I will. That shit looked hella cheap.
It looked hella cheap, but it's because of the daytime.
Nah, that was only part of the issue. Hot take here from It's Kenny Johnson says WWE officially retiring the Universal title and retroactively removing Cody's year-long reign with it is one of the weirdest changes to wrestling history I've ever seen.
No, they don't. You can't change time, man. There's no retroactively removing anything.
No, because they haven't vaporized Universal title from their history books. It's still there. It's just not an active title. It's not like it never existed.
It happened.
Yeah.
It happened. Like, we all saw it. We lived through it.
Yeah.
It happened. Going back to that other one, though.
Wait, hold on a second. Cody still had the WWE title the whole time, so it's not like there's no record of him having a title for a year. Because the Undisputed title was the Universal and the WWE title merged together.
Yeah.
So just because you remove the Universal title doesn't remove Cody as
I
WWE
think,
champion.
I think Kenny is specifically referencing Cody being the final universe. Yeah, they haven't vaporized the Universal title lineage. They'll still, I mean, when Finn Balor comes out, they'll, for a big match or something.
They'll refer him as, like when they have the sidebar with all the titles they've won, they'll still have the Universal title.
Yeah, they haven't scrubbed it from the history books.
No.
Getting back to that arenas versus stadiums, I know obviously they're never going to do it, but the crowd noise is...
Oh, it's a huge thing.
It's a thing.
It's a huge thing.
It's a thing. Atticus here has a super chat. I'm sorry,
super chat.
Hot take. I don't know what
we've been talking a lot the last 4 days, man.
Bro, I am ready for a nap. I really am. This whole Mania business is too much. Says this: Joe Hendry got buried. The match barely went over 3 minutes, and his finisher was played for laughs. This is the world champion from another company. All right, listen, everybody, because I've seen this take. I think in my WrestleJuice takes as well, that the TNA, I think it was TNA got buried because their world champion barely lasted over 3 minutes against Randy Orton. Listen, TNA is considered, and I'm sorry, should be considered on par to NXT. Now, I think Obafemi would last longer against Randy Orton than Joe Hendry would, but I mean, realistically, like, Obafemi should destroy Joe Hendry also.
Yeah.
Here's
a way of looking at it. Here's a way to interpret the story of the match. Joe Hendry from TNA, a smaller promotion, is out there in front of, as WWE like to put it, 63,000 people, having this great moment for himself. He took a moment to soak that in. If you remember correctly, when he got hit with that RKO, which cost him lose, he had the advantage. He was just taking a moment to soak in the moment, and that's what did him in. It's a lack of experience on that large of a stage.
Against a guy who's done it 20 times.
Yes.
Who's a 14-time world champion. He's going to be fighting John Cena in his next match.
Main evented several WrestleManias.
Right.
Look at it that way. Now, will they ever come back around to the story of Joe Hendry having another WrestleMania match and not doing the same thing? I don't know. But if he has another WrestleMania match and doesn't take that moment to soak it in, then he learned from his mistake here.
You know, a world title is not the same thing as another world title. They're all varying degrees of prestige and an indication of the strength of the champion. So, yeah, man. Are we supposed to believe that Joe Hendry as TNA champion is on the same level as John Cena world champion? No, they're not, because WWE makes a lot more money. And in the world of pro wrestling, where making money is the thing, whoever makes the most money, guess what? They're the most powerful champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just said that fucking off the top of my head, but there's logic to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you got John Cena, you got... Okay, well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Jey Uso versus Jon Moxley.
I mean, if it's a situation... Well...
Jon Moxley is also a former multiple-time WWE champion, though.
Yeah.
So that's a bit different.
But, if it's I don't think WWE would ever put one of their world champions in a situation, regardless of their opponent, that they would take an L.
No, yeah.
Now, obviously, Cena would be an absolute hard no in terms of losing to Mox, Hendry, anybody else. Jey Uso would probably be a no, but the match would probably be more competitive.
Okay, let me try this one on for size.
Sure.
WWE acquires AEW.
Well, that's a different thing entirely.
Okay. WWE acquires AEW, but Triple H really does not like Vince. Triple H really does his damnedest to honor the power rankings of AEW.
Sure.
Mox is a former WWE champion who's now canon. He beats Jey Uso.
Yeah.
But Darby Allin doesn't.
No.
Darby Allin wins AEW championship. They get acquired. Darby Allin's going to lose to Jey Uso.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, I think you said it. Mox is a former WWF champion several times over.
Hangman Page is a bit different, right?
Well, if Hangman was champion? No,
Yeah.
Hangman would beat Jey Uso unless whoever he was feuding with in AEW cost him the match. But in a straight-up match, yeah, Hangman beats Jey Uso.
You think so?
Yeah.
This is like the nerdiest conversation.
It really
It's like,
is.
who would win, Batman or fucking...
I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to it, getting back to Joe Hendry, if Joe or TNA had issue with it, he wouldn't have done it.
Did you read the thing, though, about them wanting to do... Joe Hendry was supposed to be in the Glasgow thing.
Oh, really?
And the dude who was running TNA at the time stepped in because he was supposed to have a whole thing on Raw with Miz.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was ultimately going to lead to a Joe Hendry loss to a guy, by the way, who's one of the most decorated champions in WWE history.
2-time Grand Slam champ.
And the head guy at TNA said, no, we're not going to do that. And then he got fired.
Yep.
So...
TNA having their champion at the largest wrestling show of the year is good exposure for TNA. Even here's the thing: Joe Hendry gets over because of his personality. He had an opportunity to showcase that, even in this short loss.
Yeah.
And if you're completely unaware of TNA or Joe Hendry, and you see that arena singing along to his song and waving their hands from side to side, you might think, "All right, who's this guy? I want to know who this guy is."
Do
and
I
you
have
go
access?
and you try to find TNA on your cable provider.
Where the fuck is it on Pluto TV? This is from 2012. What the hell?
So,
yeah, no, I agree. All right, man, it's time for. Were there any Steven Larson? I didn't even look at the take thing.
I got as far as this one. This seemed like a good one to close out the show.
Fine, let's go ahead and do it. Cameron
It's a grunge
Shank
take. Yes.
has a grunge take for us. Wood is not only Alice in Chains' best song, but it may be the best grunge song ever as well.
It's a fantastic song.
It's a really good song.
It's so good.
Yeah. Best grunge song. Boy, that's a tough one.
Depends on on one's criteria of what best constitutes.
I mean, it's super subjective, obviously.
But I mean, I assume there's
what is your number one? And don't give me, I want this one, that one, this one, that one. One single.
Now, if you want,
best.
if the question is what is the quintessential grunge song,
Isn't that Smells Like Teen Spirit?
I guess that's the song that would encapsulate that era.
I kind of feel like it's that.
Even though it's like, personally, not even my favorite song off that album, not even close.
Oh, no.
Much less my favorite song of that era.
But here's the thing, though. I don't know what my thought process would be if I was listening to Nevermind for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
If I had never heard any other song on there.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea because it's so difficult because it's so overplayed.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I don't even know where to begin. In terms of like the best.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I love Wood. It is one of my favorite Alice in Chains songs. Depending
It's
on
a
the
great
day you
song.
ask me, I might say it's my favorite. It's easily top 5, one of their top 5 songs ever.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were to make a top 10 list of best grunge songs, that would definitely be in contention.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. But gosh darn, man, there's so many good ones.
Yeah.
Soundgarden's 4th of July.
Great song. That's an album cut. Like a lot of people might not even be aware of that song.
Oh, that song is so
super
good.
familiar with Soundgarden's work.
I know what I'm listening to after this.
4th of July.
Yeah, the song is so good. But yeah, the best grunge song ever. I don't know. I think you'd probably think it's Garden, right? Pearl Jam's Garden.
Oh, without a doubt. Top 10 grunge songs, Garden 10 times.
State of Love and Trust might be really high up there for me.
It's a good one.
I love that song. Anyway.
Could the single soundtrack actually be the most important album in grunge history?
Maybe. That's a possibility. That could be. Yeah, man.
That or Nevermind, probably.
Probably Nevermind.
Probably.
Anyways.
Singles might be second, though.
It could be. That's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.